Welcome to the Orchid Advisors Compliance Training Series, Receiving and Inspection. Receiving can be defined as the act of taking possession of purchased or returned goods. The receipt is then acknowledged through signature on a bill of lading that accompanies a shipment. Inspection can be defined as the act of examining goods, auditing for conformance to the specifications as stated on a purchase order or accompanied documentation such as an engineering drawing. The objective of receiving and inspection is to validate that the goods received match the quantity ordered, meet the specifications on the purchase order, were not damaged upon receipt, are secured until transported to the intended recipient. Receiving plays one of the most important roles in aiding ATF compliance. Along with certain production processes, it is the receiving transaction that first impacts the Book of Acquisition and Disposition, or A&D book. Ideally, policies, procedures, and training will be most robust in functions like receiving. It is recommended that you consider the following controls for your receiving function. Inbound serialized goods should be delivered to a central secured location. Receipts include customer returns and repairs, purchased goods from vendors, subcontractors, or distributors, transfers from another facility, international product, imports, company-owned product, for example, a gun show product, amongst others. The receiving area should be secured internal to the facility to ensure that all items are received into company systems or acquired before being moved. The receiving area should be secured external to ensure that vendors and delivery personnel do not have access into the facility without ringing a doorbell or calling an established contact. Vendor deliveries are properly scheduled to maintain control over pedestrian and vehicle traffic, to limit the risk of theft or loss. Video cameras and like monitoring devices can play a key role in after-the-fact monitoring of such areas. Receiving personnel should be trained and evaluated on their ability to properly record serial numbers and identify product model, type, and caliber. Receiving personnel should have a clear chain of command to escalate concerns when serial number, model, type, or caliber cannot be clearly determined. Product counts should be performed in what is called a blind manner. For example, the individual should not be aware of the quantity expected prior to the count, as it may sway their count validation. Goods received should not exceed the quantity per the commercial documentation, such as the purchase order or return authorization. If it does, the employee should contact his or her supervisor or the purchasing department for interaction with the organization that shipped the good. Any shortages in the shipment should be investigated to determine if any serialized items were lost or stolen during transport. Compliance should be notified when shortages are noted. Any serial number or other marking information provided on box tags, paperwork, or other hanging tags should be validated against the actual physical frame, receiver, or complete firearm at the time of receipt. Only the information on the physical good shall be recorded in the event of a conflict with tags. Returns should not be accepted without authorization. This typically happens with a commercial tool called a return materials authorization. Regardless, even if a firearm is returned without a RMA, ATF regulations still require that the asset be acquired into the A&D books. The commercial transaction can be resolved once the regulations are adhered to. All firearms, including serialized frames and receivers, should be acquired in the A&D book within the time parameters specified in the regulations. Domestic receipts must be recorded within 7 days and reflect the actual receipt date. Imports must be recorded within 15 days and reflect the customs release date. All firearms, including serialized frames and receivers, should be acquired in the A&D book within the time parameters specified in the regulations. Domestic receipts must be recorded within 7 days and reflect the actual receipt date. Imports must be recorded within 15 days and reflect the customs release date. Retailers must be recorded within 24 hours of receipt and reflect the actual receipt date. In every case, The receiving department should be capturing and validating ATF-required information, such as the manufacturer name, country of origin, if imported, type, model, serial number, and caliber or gauge. All frames, receivers, or complete firearms received shall be recorded as their current physical type, rather than prior or future known types of the same device or serial number. A clear and timely method of communication should be in place so that the inspection team is aware when product has arrived. And inspection personnel should be trained on their ability to properly assess the conformance of required markings to the specifications provided to the vendor. Thank you for watching this segment of our video training series. Viewers are encouraged to seek professional advice prior to assessment, implementation, or execution.